So, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Now, today I'm going to be talking to a really amazing part of healing with breast cancer, either before, after, or during. And what I mean by that is when I actually contacted my own surgeon, I was advised that what would be great, Grace, is to do exercises. She was big on exercises, even to the point where I go and see her for my checkups, and she's always asking me, "Are you exercising? Are you exercising?" And that brings me to her. I asked her, who would you highly recommend for me to have a chat? And she said, you need to contact Melbourne Yoga and Pilates, because that's where she sends most of her patients. So having said all of this, I'm talking to Molly Slater. Molly is representing Melbourne Yoga and Pilates. She's going to be discussing why it's really great to have benefits during, before, after, and during your treatment with cancer. Because although us women think that, oh, I don't want to do any exercises, but the benefit is so much better. So, and overall, the general benefits of exercising, why it's important for anyone, regardless. So, having said all of this, welcome to the podcast, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
You're welcome. Yes. And like I said, I got the chance to meet you in person. I got the chance also to sit one of the classes on Zoom with some patients, the cancer patients. And, you know, it was just so inspiring to see them as well, because we talk about moving the body. And one of the things that I read, Master of Exercise in Physiology, is so important. And we just spoke about that the other day. The movement is so important. It really helps the emotional side, the psychological side, and everything else as well. So just let us know why it's the benefits of doing yoga and Pilates.
So there is a big, strong evidence base to promote exercise with either current treatment or for recovery. And I'm not just necessarily here as a representative for Pilates and yoga, but all types of exercise. So I have a big background of strength and conditioning as well as Pilates and yoga. So basically, I'm an advocate for any type of exercise or physical activity that you want to do.
That's great.
Yeah, would you like me to go through like the research?
Yeah. Just whatever you feel comfortable. Let us know all of it.
Okay, so I'll try to keep it basic, but we have a governing body, ESSA, so Exercise Sports Science Australia, and they run plenty of research on this topic. And what I'm going to promote to you guys today is basically a copy of what they have found, and this is all evidence-backed. So this isn't my opinion, this is all research. So one of the biggest things that we found with exercise is that it can help with fatigue and weight management. So depending on whether you're recovering or during treatment and where you're in your treatment cycles and where you're at the moment, generally that's the two biggest things that we find with cancer patients is managing their levels of fatigue and a lot of treatments and potentially being more sedentary than previously. We find that a lot of, especially women, have issues with their weight. So that's probably the two biggest factors that exercise that we can promote for at the moment, plus multiple other little things, but they're basically the two biggest factors.
Yeah, and the thing is, having said this too, is what's important is when you look at why women get, like when I asked Dr. Chantel Thornton, why are women getting diagnosed more with breast cancer, I thought it was because with what we have now with modern technology, it was actually picked up earlier. But in actual fact, she actually said to me, no, Grace, it's because the world is westernized. And what we mean by that is our foods, our environment, everything around us is just creating so much more damage to us as opposed to 50 years ago, 70 years ago, when, it was very rare, very rare. And I'm not saying it's food-based or anything like that. Of course, it could be genetic, it could be like that. But I think the majority, I'm sitting here as I guess one of the women, because like you just said, women put on more weight. And I think that's important for women to understand, whether you've just been diagnosed, why it's important to look after your health. And if you're going through the treatment, while it's important to go through that, and after, because you don't want it to come back. So so go ahead and tell us. So what are the so you touched on all of that, which is great, because like you said, there is proof out there. So where do you fit into all of this, and what can you do, or what can you tell us about how this all fits in for women?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll backtrack a little bit before cancer, so potentially reducing your risk, because I just want to touch on what you said then about our increasing incidence of cancer, and this is pretty much all cancers. There's a very big, strong link between physical inactivity and your cancer risk. So it's absolutely set in stone evidence that the more physically inactive you are, which is increasing this day and age, especially with lockdowns, don't necessarily help with that.
Yeah.
But generally, the less physically active you are, the higher risk you are at cancer and other potentially lifestyle diseases and things. So I think that is just very big part of us advocating exercise, is not just necessarily during the treatment and recovery, which I'll touch on in a minute, but also reducing your risk. So if you're a person that's potentially worried about your risk of breast cancer, that's an easy, generally cost-effective way to help reduce your risk of potentially getting cancer, is just being physically active. And that could be something as simple as going for a walk every day, or it could be going into a proper strength training program or joining Pilates and yoga classes with people like me. Yeah. And then, sorry.
No, go on. Yep, I'm listening. Go on.
And then I just want to talk about exercise. So a little bit more about exercise during treatment. So I've touched on how it can help with fatigue levels and weight management. So as generally everybody knows, exercise is a great way to manage your weight. There's research showing that, yes, it helps with fatigue levels, even though we as practitioners completely understand that some days are completely, you are drained and you don't feel like doing anything. There is studies to show that after the exercise session has completed, or after a few weeks of training, that generally energy levels pick back up. And there's also little cause effects from that as well. So generally on days that you exercise, you can generally sleep better. So it helps with sleep issues. And also there is evidence out there to show that exercise is a really effective way to manage pain. So some cancer patients really find that exercise helps with pain management outside of necessarily drugs, which is kind of exciting. And one last thing I want to touch on is that a lot of cancer treatments, especially breast cancer, where it's very much to do with our hormones, especially female hormones, we do have an increased risk of osteoporosis and generally muscle atrophy. So that's a weakening and our muscles disappearing through our treatment. So exercise is a fantastic way to try to protect our bones and our muscles for future use later on. So generally helping that recovery as well, because there would be a lot of women out there that are potentially worried about their risk of osteoporosis during their treatment or after their treatment, and exercise is a great way to manage that.
Yeah, and just touching on that as well too, because I know that when I went through my cancer journey and all that, what was really confronting for me to realize is, I remember her saying to me, where most women are, well, you have your period and it's estrogen based and all of that, and it actually reduces the risk of heart failure or heart attacks and things like that, or heart problems. However, when you go into menopause, it actually increases. And I thought, oh, so I guess that's where you're saying like exercise, because you're just not looking at one side of the board, because a lot of women who have gone through treatment have to actually have a mastectomy, a hysterectomy done because of the cancer, possibly spreading. So they're going into early menopause. So like you said before, with the hormones changing and that, you just really just jacked it up. You just put it in high speed, your menopause, and it's not naturally. So how can that help a patient as well? Whether, like you said, it doesn't matter which cancer. You could have had ovarian cancer, uterus cancer, breast cancer. It doesn't matter. But how does that help as well, knowing that it's not just for today, but it's like you said with the osteo as well. It's looking at tomorrow's and going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So exercise has got a really strong evidence base on basically being able to protect our bones and our muscles. So yes, like what we've touched on, definitely more of a risk of atrophy and just also think physical function. So being able to pick up the washing basket without too much stress, little things like that, which can add up to quality of life, especially years down the track. It can have a big impact. And yeah, exercise can definitely help with all that sort of physical function, being able to move, being able to run after the kids or the grandkids, being able to stay just physically fit to be able to handle what life throws at you.
And life doesn't stop throwing curveballs. I always
No.
say that, So unfortunately, even though we're going through a treatment or something in your life or something dramatic's happen, it's like, well, now I'm going to keep throwing curveballs at you. So it's how you pick it up. But it's yeah, and I quite think that's I think it's really important for people to understand. How important exercise is now, because as I said, when Dr. Thornton actually suggested it, it's not just a matter of grace, just go out and do exercises, but it's exactly that. Like you said, it's making the body as healthy as possible. And I really like how you said also helps with pain, because when you hear of a woman going through a treatment with cancer, there's a lot of pain in the bones, there's a lot of pain in the back, there's a lot of pain in the legs. A lot of women have and of course it's not just the pain of the operation, because then obviously if someone's had a double mastectomy or what I had, a lumpectomy done or whatever it is, you sort of have to be mindful of where to lift up your arms and what you can pick up and so forth. So if someone's come in and and I want to go back to that, because the thing is, like I said, I don't think Dr. Thornton just says, just put exercises on your agenda, because it's not that you've got anything else you got to do anyway. Just throw it in there as well with all the other 1,000 things you got to do. But she says it because I believe it also helps you recover, but it also helps you become in a better state of mind as well when you're moving, when you're actually doing something. So if someone is actually just being operated, they've just been diagnosed, they've just had the operation, what are some exercises, what are some benefits you can actually, advise the patient going forward and what they can start doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much we'll treat everybody as a case by case basis, because everybody is unique, and it's
Mm,
not just necessarily what kind of treatment that you've gone through, is where were you at beforehand? Were you really, really physically fit, like Iron Woman or at the Olympic
mm,
athlete, or were
mm,
you really sedentary and you're a beginner? And then
mhm,
that kind of changes how we prescribe exercise. But in general, after a few weeks and you've got some medical clearance, you can start doing some very gentle basic exercises. So that could be potentially walking, it could be potentially doing some light stretching and yoga, working on range of movement. And then later down the track, that's when you can start to increase more your resistance training and your aerobic training to try gain back your strength and your cardio fitness levels, either back to where they were before all everything happened, or
mm.
potentially I've got women that are stronger and fitter than ever just because they've continued training with us and now they're the fittest they've ever been
Wow.
post,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
It is. And like we're saying, though, it's not just being at a better version of yourself, but you're actually bringing back the potential of getting. We're not saying it draws the line and it shuts you off and you can never you can never have a trauma or a cancer or anything again, but it really reduces that so much. And I think that's really important, why it's important to do this. And, So, but like you said, that was a great point too, because it's not just a matter of, okay, we're going to put you all on the same, exercise regime, and this is what you're going to do. Because exactly, there are women that I've interviewed. I've had women who she's a marathon announcer, and she's actually going to be doing the Boston Marathon herself. So she's all about fit. She's all about doing it. And I remember her telling me that her doctor said to her, had you not done exercises, you would have been in a lot more trouble through your treatment than if like if you hadn't done any exercises, if you hadn't moved, if you didn't have this under your belt beforehand, it would have caused more trouble for you. But then I also interviewed models where they eat air, so they do go to the gym for about 2 seconds, but you know what I mean? So it's different again. So there, you probably look at it, someone like a model and you think, well, you're a model and, you're healthy, and not necessarily. A model is not necessarily, does that make sense? And some models are just smoking and drinking and that's about it. They're not eating, so it's not exactly a healthy thing. But I think, you know, like we're saying, if and obesity is a cause of any sickness, any sickness. I am one to believe that 1000%. I'm one who goes up and down with my weight, especially in COVID. One minute I'm losing 10 kilos, next minute I'm putting 12 on. So I'm like, yeah, it's driving me crazy. But so I just want to, if you could share, obviously, with with the privacy of these, customers or these clients, can you share some stories of some women who have actually come to you, they've been referred to you after a treatment or during a treatment, and and what was the outcome after all that?
Yeah, so as you said before, the intro, that you've actually sat in on our cancer exercise group. So we hold a free cancer exercise group twice a week, and I run one of them. And we have a couple of ladies that you would have met, Grace, that are currently in remission. They've been in remission for a couple of years, but they've continued to exercise with us to keep building on their strength and their aerobic fitness. But with our interview that we held with them in that group, and also just being a practitioner, seeing people over the years, the biggest thing that I see is, one, it provides a distraction when you're currently in that treatment phase. So a lot of women like the idea that they've got another reason to leave the house. It's not just another medical appointment, that sort of thing. It's something for them and it's their time. And depending on how they're feeling for the day, if they're generally upbeat and feeling pretty good, I can put them through a bit more of a heavier, say, strength session. But if they're feeling really flat and tired, like the fatigue levels we were saying before, that's when we can turn around and alter it to more like a yoga stretch session, and it can be a bit of a vent session as well. But I think that's a really good and positive part about exercise as well during treatment, is that mental health support as well, because it is a break and it does become their me time. And then it also, I think, helps empower women as well. I've seen a lot of women empowered just having their body feel strong. So I've obviously been lucky enough not to fall in very ill, but I've had a lot of feedback from everybody saying that it's really debilitating, that your body's like, let yourself down. You feel weak. You feel like potentially it's foreign kind of thing. So I think exercise is a great way to connect your mind back into your body, potentially make you feel stronger again, empowering yourself that you're not just this sick person all the time that can't do anything. And I think that is an amazing thing to watch as a practitioner, see women empowered by exercise, and not necessarily women that are sick with cancer. That's just women in general. I love seeing women see how strong they potentially can be.
Yeah, because the thing is too, some women believe that they don't, oh, I don't have what it takes, and they're not they put themselves down, but they don't give themselves enough, sort of recognition that they're doing so much, you know what I mean, in life in general. So exactly, when you start feeling good about yourself, I think also you release better, you release so many, I don't know what they are, but all these different types of sensations throughout the body. You hear it all the time. Laughter is the best medicine. Exercise is the best medicine. And they don't say that just for the sake of saying it. It's proven, like you said, it's proven. If it's not like exercising is like smoking. No, smoking will kill you. Exercise won't kill you. You know what I mean? So it's really important. And I like that. Yes. And it was awesome to see these women yet being in remission, but still continuing. Because like you said, it was their time. It's like it's my time to just, whether with lockdown you can't walk into a gym, you can't walk into a Pilates class or a yoga class, unfortunately, but it's their way of saying, you know what, from this time to this time, it's my time. I'm going to switch off and I'm going to do this. And yeah, you have a better night's sleep. You feel good about yourself. The mind starts listening as opposed to talking chatter, and I've spoken to a lot of cancer patients that just say, there were days where all I wanted to do was just sleep. I just want to sleep. But like you said, if you get to do that, maybe small stretches, just getting your body, because I want to touch on the next thing that you had here, and and you're currently studying physiology. And like I said before, we hear about it all the time. One of my mentors talks about physiology because it's so important to move the body. Like he gets us to jump up and down and clap and scream and shout. And a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, this man is crazy. No, he's not. Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, he's a mad cow. He just wants us to jump around. And it's like, no, he says you do it because when you move your body, you change the state you're in, you change what you're thinking, you're believing. It really helps with that. So just let us, you say, I really want to touch on that because I thought it was really awesome how you said, I want to know more of what you're studying if you want to share it, because I think it's important for your journey as well. As someone who works in these places, to understand it's not just about, come and do yoga and come and do Pilates. There's more to it. There's so much more to yoga and Pilates. My neighbor, she does Pilates in the sense she just went and, like she became a teacher of Pilates. And I remember sitting with her one time while she needed a guinea pig, and I struggled. I thought, this isn't as easy. People think it's easy. It's not easy. And I've done yoga and that's not easy either. So, yeah. But just touch on more of the physiology of what you're studying.
Okay, so I'm studying my Masters of Exercise Physiology currently at university. So I hold an exercise science degree, so that's a bachelor degree at uni. And I've been a personal trainer for about 8 years now. So basically the difference is, and I'm slowly working my way up there, is that people with Masters of Exercise Physiology, so they're considered allied health. So one, that they're covered by Medicare and private health, so that's always a bonus. But also they have a tertiary degree in chronic conditions and injuries. So at the moment I'm studying cardiovascular and cancers and diabetes and things like that. So basically gaining my wealth of knowledge on how to see people and help treat people through exercise on these chronic conditions. That's the difference with a Masters of Exercise Physiology compared to other trainers, although plenty of us have plenty of experience training other people and everybody in different walks of life. But that's basically the difference in exercise physiology, is that we, yes, have that university degree and we are researching and trying to find the latest evidence on what is the best way to prescribe exercise for treatment.
Yeah. And I like how you said that, because now that's why I wanted to touch on it, because it's now becoming specific. It's becoming specific because, like the thing is, if some doctor, like if your surgeon or your doctor says go and exercise, you got to be mindful. When she says exercise or when he says exercise, what does he mean? Because you could be doing more damage than good. Also, if you're not into it and you go and think, oh, I have to go and do exercise, I'm going to start doing, kettlebell training. Okay, if you physically can, but you're not in that right mindset, you're going to start hating it and you're going to start thinking, how is this benefiting me? So for yourself to go back, because the things that you just touched on, those three subjects are probably the biggest thing people are suffering these days: chronic illness, diabetes, cancer. It's just overriding a lot more of things. And and I spoke to a lady who went through so much chronic fatigue, chronic pain, and she got told, just go and do exercises. And she was like, this isn't helping me. This isn't helping me. And she created her own, because she said, I had to go back to basics. I had to go back to, in her case, she said, I went back as far as, what do children do and how do they move and go forward? Yeah, because she was thinking, someone's telling me, do this, do this, do this, do this. Like, I suffer like lower back pain. And a lot of times when they say, oh, try this, try that, it makes it worse for me. But I really, I love the way you touched on that, because, you know, for you to want to do this, it's obviously showing that unfortunately, there's more and more of these cases showing up. Unfortunately, there's more and more of this happening. It's not that you're trying to get into an area that doesn't really exist, or it's moving out. You get what I'm saying? It's actually getting busier, which is
Yeah.
really bad. When we think about it, like, I didn't think of it like that, but that's the new norm, unfortunately. Fatigue, you hear it, chronic fatigue. I've heard the word chronic fatigue as much as I've heard of the word cancer, as much as I've heard of the word diabetes. It's true. Years ago, you would have thought, what is chronic fatigue? What is chronic illness? You would have heard diabetes a lot more than cancer, but nowadays it's just. But do you think, let me ask you this, do you think
Mhm.
the three of them actually connect?
As in diabetes, cancer,
Yeah,
and chronic fatigue.
yeah. Do you think, the thing is, I believe, I believe, and I'm not a doctor, but I believe if you have diabetes, it could lead you to cancer. I think, or it could lead you to a sickness, or it could lead you to chronic illness. You know what I mean? Do you feel that they're connected? I feel like somehow that there's a string that connects, like a triangle, I guess, that connects them. Do you feel that there's a connection, or do you feel that they're three different areas that are so different? Because you're studying it, I'm not, so I'm just guessing here.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Again, I'm not going to say that I'm a doctor, but from what I can see is that I think you're definitely onto the right track, as in potentially when our body is sick and unwell, we've got a poor immune system, we're not exercising enough, we're not giving our body the right nutrition, and it can kind of
Mm,
lead on to something. And I think it can definitely kind of snake around and start hitting and affecting other organs and things like that. So, and those three conditions and
mm,
other lifestyle conditions like cardiovascular disease and everything all have very common risk factors. So, say like poor nutrition, smoking, and inactivity, that is risk factors for a whole lot of conditions. So, I definitely think
mm.
things can be related for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Like you said, it just, a lot of people don't believe that it will, but I think it can. Like you said, it can just, you could start off with one thing, and then all of a sudden it just can lead you down a rabbit's hole if you don't fix it straight away.
Yeah.
I remember being very close, where I was surprised, because I generally, like, eat okay. I'm not going to say, oh my god, I'm just so clean. No, that'll be the biggest lie out there. But remember getting tested for, and they said, oh, you're very close to being diabetic, and I thought, oh, really? Now, I didn't go and do a 180 change. I just thought, ooh, what caused that? But the next time I had it done, they're like, oh wow, that's dropped dramatically. What did you do? And I thought, Well, what did I do? I don't even know what I did, but I must have changed something. So what I'm trying to say is just taking baby steps, taking baby steps to heal yourself. God forbid you get told you've got a chronic fatigue illness or you've got diabetes or cancer. That's when we decide to do that drastic change. It's like, oh my God, I have to change. But knowing that, you can prevent chronic fatigue, you can prevent diabetes, you can prevent cancer, is a lot more easier, I guess, to do first of all than just doing a dramatic, 180 change, because that could be, taxing on the body, could be taxing on the mind. And things like that. So, but and that's why I love talking about that, because, like I said, I love hearing about these different places, because people think of exercise as, oh, I got to do CrossFit, or I got to do, yeah, it's everything's about keto and CrossFit these days. It's the new, it's the new. How do you say? It's a fancy thing now. Oh, well, yes, I'm doing keto, and yes, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I'm doing keto because I chose to do keto. But and I like keto, and I'm doing some sort of CrossFit. It's not really CrossFit at this stage because the guy's doing it slowly. See, that's what I talk about, slowly. Yeah, because if you jump right into it. But I did yoga. When I did Ayurveda, I did a lot of yoga and Pilates. I went to Pilates classes and stuff, so I really liked them, but they are so hard. Anyone who thinks, oh, I'd rather do, I like how people say, I'd rather do yoga or Pilates and not kettlebell training. Well, I've done all three. And yoga and
Yes.
Pilates, don't underestimate them. Don't underestimate them. But it's a different way of moving the body. And especially standing in those poses in yoga, I don't break into a sweat, and I was breaking into a sweat. So I found that really. But talk about also, did we touch on what types of exercises? We did. We touched on what type of exercises women
Yeah,
can
I can
do.
I can explain that a little
Yeah,
bit more if you'd like.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Please.
Yep. So pretty much I'm advocating any type of exercise. So you kind of touched on like joining different groups and things like that. If that's the best that you can do, or if all you can do at the moment is go for a walk, that is something better than nothing. So I'm not against necessarily just joining your local gym or joining your local yoga class. Just the difference with EPs is that we do have this knowledge of your condition. We've got the additional knowledge of treatments and medications and things like that. And we have the ability to adjust the session compared to how you feel. So things like Pilates, yoga, strength and conditioning, aerobic training, they're all tools in a toolbox. And basically the outcome is exercise, and it's just depending on what tool you want to use to get that, elicit that response. So like what I've touched on before, if you're feeling really bad, we can use the tool of yoga to stretch. Otherwise, I'm a big strength and conditioning advocate, believe it or not. So if you're feeling good, we can do kettlebell training and things like that. Just, yeah, you can look at the different tools and you can also find out what you like. So it's a great way to explore different options too.
Yeah, yeah. But it's quite interesting because, like, it's true, because not everyone likes. I don't like hit, high intense things. I'm not one for that. If you give me kettlebells, I love kettlebells. If you give me yoga, I love yoga. If you give me Pilates, I love that more than a hit. I don't want to do aerobics. I hate running. I always thought, God, don't run. I never have to run in my life. So you know what I mean? So it's true, because not everyone, but if I came to you, I'm just trying to sort of work out. So why would I come? I know, other than, I guess I can ask the question, because
Mm-hmm.
when I asked Chantel Thornton, Dr. Chantel Thornton, who do you recommend, or who would be great to have on my podcast? She said, you need to contact Melbourne Yoga and Pilates. Now I'm thinking, why would she advocate that? Why is it so important? Like, how did it all start? If you were around at the time, do you know how it all started, where she was sending, obviously, patients to you?
That would be a good question for our manager, because I wasn't
that's
around
okay.
at the start.
That's all right.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't quite answer that question, but potentially, well, our support services. So we have a strong exercise physiology base. So all of us are either learning, like myself, or already qualified, and we do have a really extensive knowledge in this area and other areas of other conditions. So there's that. We're really strong on education. So we really want to empower people and educate people. So give them the reasons why they should be doing things, not just necessarily telling them what to do. So education can be a really big, important thing with treatment and recovery, and we're really big on that. And also we just have a variety of services. So we've got our free cancer exercise group that we do on Zooms at the moment through lockdown. And we've got our clinical Pilates classes, and we also have a very strong one-on-one PT or exercise physiology sessions with clientele.
Yeah, and I just wanted to I lost my train of thought and I hope it comes back, but that's what I wanted to sort of, speak about, because I wanted to see, like, for yourselves as well, you going to get a patient who's going to come in, and I know I touch a lot on the cancer because this is what the podcast is about, but you've got you need to be able to be supportive as well. So you need to be able not only to support the person going through the diagnosis of cancer and the treatments, but you need to also be able to have that support for yourself. So is there anything that you do as as a group there in Pilates? Do you guys like sort of have, support for yourselves? Because what I'm trying to say is you might get a patient that comes in and their diagnosis isn't great. And it's how do you support yourself and how do you support that person, as opposed to someone who's just stage one and I need to move my body because I haven't moved it. I've never done anything in my life, as opposed to someone who's got a really bad diagnosis.
That's a very good question. We all work as a team to support each other and make sure that we're checking in on everybody, but also with a lot of clinics, I'm sure it's not just ours, but all of us team will check in with that client as well. So say potentially Grace, you and I start doing some one-on-one sessions. I'm not going to be your only contact through our clinic. We're going to have other allied health practitioners that will also regularly check up on you. So it's basically like becoming a bit of a support family. I know that's thrown around a lot, but it does. We, support each other as practitioners and making sure that we're, supporting that client well. And then also we all work as a team to support that client individually and make sure they've got support processes as well outside of us to help them through. So obviously they've got their medical team, but we've also got options to refer them to other people, other clinics and things that we know if we feel like they need extra support.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to touch on, because I want to say, like, I want people like I always say in my podcast, I don't want you to ever meet Chantel Thornton. But if you have to, I want you to meet Chantel Thornton. In your case, I want anyone to come and do that. Like you said, you now got your Zoom, that you run the classes in Zoom, which is awesome. So, and I want people to go to your website. I want people to join and do yoga and Pilates from home, or any other exercises, like you said, whether it's a one-on-one, because also now I just want to touch on that. Your services are broad. So like you said, if you want to do a one-on-one, you want to prevent anything from happening, go and see these guys. You have been diagnosed with whatever it is, and you have to look after your health. You have to look after your your well-being. Speak to these guys, because you're there to support whoever you're going through. I had the privilege of meeting yourself, but also a couple of other other members there, and it was great. It was great to see that community. It was great to see what you guys had coming together. And I thought that's really important too. as people working together. Like you said, you're not trying to outdo each other, you're just trying to be there to support each other as well as others, and learning and teaching as you go along. So I want to have, again, I want people to go to Melbourne Yoga and Pilates, because I love Pilates. Okay, I'm not going to say I loved yoga, but I loved Pilates. You know what I mean? I did. I enjoyed it, even though I sucked at it. I struggled. There were people in there just flowing, and I was there like dying. And I was on the the resistance. If they took it off, I'd be doing a free fall without anything. That's how, you know what I mean? That's how much I was struggling. And
That's
there's
all right.
people that
People
are
are going to start everywhere. Going to start somewhere.
exactly. I was there for a long time, let me tell you. But I loved it. I loved it because, like you said, it gave me a sense of strength, but it also made me feel good about myself. It made me feel good about what I was doing. I was like, you know what? I love this. I actually enjoy this. It's my time. Step away. So, guys, if you're interested, if you guys are really wanting to do this, I highly recommend you guys contact Melbourne Yoga and Pilates. I know here in Melbourne, Australia, we're in lockdown, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Molly can't jump on a Zoom and teach you some things. And I'm sure that you'll also tell them what they need. The session that I was privileged to join, I could see women in there having, they had the resistant bands, they had kettlebells. I'm sure if you have to get a couple of cans or a couple of bottles or whatever it is that you got at home. But I know that with Pilates, you don't necessarily need anything but your body. And I think that's the
Absolutely.
biggest exercise. I think that's the biggest exercise equipment. Because a lot of people think, oh, what's yoga and Pilates going to do? Trust me, it does a hell of a lot. So, what else, I want you really to, tell the listeners and the viewers, I really want them to understand why we're talking. What are the benefits of us having this conversation today?
So basically, I just want to reiterate that our bodies are made to move. Like, just in general, movement is amazing. Exercise is medicine. So no matter what stage you are in your life and what current treatment process and things like that, exercise is 100% safe, especially if you're seeking like qualified advice. But exercise is 100% safe. We're here to supervise you and help you through every process of the way. But basically, I've said all the benefits and things like that. But yes, I just want everybody to think our bodies are made to move. So it makes sense that movement is going to help us.
And also, mentally it helps as well. And a lot of people being in lockdown who think, I can't go out, I can't do anything. This is a great way, guys. This is really a great way for you to unless you've been living under a rock, everyone's got an internet. I'm sure. I could be wrong, but I'm sure everyone's got the internet. So, download the Zoom app, download StreamYard app, whatever it is that you need, download Skype, whatever it is, and have someone to support you on this journey in your life, because it is important to move. It's so important to move your body on a physical level, but also on a psychological level as well, an emotional level. Moving is a great form of healing, and I think a lot of people forget that. A lot of people really, and nowadays with COVID, a lot of people are sitting around thinking, I'm just going to watch another episode of Netflix. And after that, I'll watch another episode of Netflix. Myself and my husband, we're at home. And if I watch Netflix, I tell you, it's probably between the times of 8:30 at night and 9 o'clock. That's it. We're working. I've got a desk that goes up and down. Things like that. I sometimes put my water downstairs purposely so I can get up and go and grab a glass of water downstairs. So little things like this, but it's also important to have the supervision like yourself, just someone to say, just someone there who's in your corner, I guess. That's what I wanted to say. You're in their corner. I saw someone there in, when it was open, I was able to come to the actual studio, and the support she was getting was amazing. So that's what I really want to let the people who are listening or viewing know. Go out there and start moving. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
Not necessarily. Maybe just touch on the current, I guess, situation we're in at the moment with lockdown
Absolutely.
6.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's not looking too
6.
good at the moment.
Those of you playing at home, yes,
Yeah.
we're in lockdown 6 here in Melbourne, Australia. So just in case you're thinking, are they? Yes, we are. So, yeah.
Yep. It's been a little while, and it looks like it might be a little while longer. So for anybody who is hesitating or potentially using it as an excuse to, I'll wait till everything settles down to start later, it looks like later is getting further and further away. So now is the best time to start. Like what Grace said, we've got all our services on Zoom. They're easily accessible. You don't have to worry about traveling anywhere. And we've all got the skills to be able to give you any type of workout you want. So our different tools we were talking about before, with whatever equipment that you've got in your house. Some people have got the full gym setup, and some people are using their babies and their dogs as weight, as well as their body weight exercises. We can get quite creative. It's actually quite fun. And just also that mental health check-in as well during lockdown, seeing people like us. Because, like what you said, Grace, we're in your corner, and we're here to do anything possible to keep you guys healthy. And we use exercise, but we're also here for just gym support as well.
Yeah, and it's really, really, really important, those especially living at home alone, to reach out, and just know that there's someone you can, speak to. Like you said, it's not just a matter of, am I going to do this exercise or anything? It's a matter of just, even if they're walking and they're talking to you on a Zoom, so be it. Yeah, it could be a bit distracting, but for them, it's something that they can help. Yeah, and I think, like exactly like you said, don't become complacent. This isn't going anywhere. This isn't changing. Our government here keeps, and I'm not getting political, but our government keeps extending. And you hear September, you're hearing October, you're hearing November. If you had we joke, but it's true. If you had a prison sentence, at least you're getting out, on the 15th of April, 2026. At least a date. But in this case, we don't know. So instead of waiting, get onto someone who can help you move, help you to support you, move that body, move that mind, get out of that funk, and do that before, God forbid, I have to interview another doctor and they've said COVID has caused even more cases. I would probably freak out, because that's not what I want to hear, because I've been there. I've done that. I have empathy for others, and I don't want to hear others going through it. But in this case, guys, I want you to go and reach out. These guys are on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Give them a call. Let them know what what you want to achieve. I also, Molly, have like a 30-day motivation that I have out there for people, but I'm in my Facebook, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to put the link, because I want people, because I think motivation is moving as well. So a lot of people think motivation means I have to write in my journal today. No, motivation could also mean picking up a skipping rope, walking your neighbor's dog. If you don't have a dog, I'm sure your neighbor would love you walking their dog. Just like you said, put one of their kids in a pram and push them around, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. So I really want to emphasize that in my page, in my group, because I want people to realize that they can reach out, and no matter where you are in the world, the beauty of it, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can reach out to this amazing team. And with Molly there, you know, as I said, it's been a pleasure to have you. Is there anything else you want our viewers or our listeners to know about you or about your team?
I think I pretty much covered everything, but basically we just can cover any sort of training. So again, not just necessarily Pilates and yoga. We can find something that suits what you enjoy to do and what is best for your body. But basically, I just want to empower everybody to get strong. It's amazing how strong feels. So let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Why not? And, you know, again, guys, I will have the link to both the Instagram and the Facebook page in my podcast as well as YouTube. But, you know, again, I really want you guys to take advantage of this, reach out to these guys, have a chat with them. Whatever it is, just move, get better. You don't, you know, I say this because I know this is about women who are just being diagnosed. But if you're listening in or you know someone who just needs to be able to move to get a bit healthier, I'm talking about me, Molly. So don't go, you know what I mean? I say this to others, but I'm saying this to me. I need to move my butt a little bit more. So, and this has been amazing. I really thank you for taking the time to have a chat with us today. I can't wait to see what you guys have in store. I will always have you tagged in because I believe it's important to reach out to people, especially like yourselves in times like this. Please reach out to these guys. So thank you again for being on my podcast, Molly. And I can't wait to continue having a chat with you outside as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And so for everyone else, thanks so much for listening in today. Hope you guys have an amazing day. And like always, I wish you so much love and light.